life after life. Once, after wonderful sex, Sapphire began to dance an erotic dance in an erotic garment, the kind that Vallejo paints in his paintings. Jan mentally pictured petals and flower buds falling on her from the sky, and they sprinkled. The enchanting music that Sapphire had mentally imagined sounded. There were palm trees and many flowers all around. In the distance, the sea sounded with its surf. After the dance, Sapphire came to Jan and hugged him and looked into his eyes.
Honey, I have a very important thing to tell you.
I'm listening to you, my love.
I have been here for a very long time, and it is my time to incarnate on Earth. I will have to die here in order to incarnate in a new body. Physical death on Earth is nothing. It is just a transition from the hard earthly life to Eden, the paradise of Adam and Eve. And death here is the second death. That is, the new incarnation is the real death. A man will never return to his former personality. I will no longer remember being here. I will forget you, my beloved, my past life. I'll be a new person with a new destiny. I'll leave my memory here, and there will never be this Sapphire again. There will be another person. I will, of course, feel that I am again. I will still have my character traits, my inclinations for music, for example.
But why? We're having such a good time. Stay here.
That's God's will. But what can we do? We cannot resist it. God wants us to grow, to develop, to come closer to Him, to enlightenment, and sends us to Earth to receive the next lessons.
I curse you, God. You send only misery. You mock us. I don't want to be a clown in your play, which you entertain to brighten your emptiness. I don't want my experiences to be food for you. I'm not going to be a puppet that you constantly make me experience something. I didn't ask you to create me.
Stop it. Enough.
But I don't want that. I want to die and incarnate with you so that we can always be together.
Unfortunately, you can't die early here. I've been here a long time, and your time has not yet come. But even if we were to incarnate at the same time, there is no guarantee that we would meet and love each other again, dear. We don't know in what places and in what bodies God will incarnate us, what lessons He will teach us. Take this as another lesson from God. Do not be upset, because there is nothing eternal. Everything is temporary. Try to live in the present moment, in what you have, without clinging to the past. And I will go to know good and evil, as Eve did when she came down from Eden to earth. I pray to God every day to meet the Master there and become His disciple, for He is the incarnation of Buddha Maitreya, and I feel that God has heard my prayers. Then I will already incarnate in the world of my own free will.
Why did you create such an unjust world, where there is only torment and suffering, only evil? I curse you for it.
Calm down, Jan. I'm still here. Nothing's happened yet, don't worry. I'll be here with you for a while. You'll get used to the idea. Here we know the time of our incarnation, unlike on Earth. You blaspheme God for nothing. Can you see the good He has done for you? What a wonderful world you live in now. You can be an angel, become one. He gave you me, and you took it for granted without even thanking Him for it. You have enjoyed life in this Eden without thinking who created this paradise for you, and now you blaspheme it?
Why do you have to die? Everything is so beautiful and we love each other.
Unfortunately, our subtle bodies are not as durable as our earthly bodies. Although they live longer than earthly bodies, there still comes a moment when they are destroyed. People who are engaged in a spiritual practice, yoga, for example, have stronger and more durable bodies. People who lead meaningless lives have weaker bodies. We have not engaged in spiritual practices to strengthen them, and eventually they disintegrate, and it is time for us to incarnate because we cannot live here without them. And we don't have the spiritual level to live in the plane of the angels, and we are drawn to the earth. Everything is mortal. Even God dies and is resurrected from time to time. Death is necessary for us to renew our perception so that we could look at life with new eyes and could start life with a clean slate. Because the previous experience limits us, does not allow us to perceive new things, to perceive everything without the old assessments and the old views. And without this, there would be no full life. Besides, all things have two sides. That is how this world is. It is dual. There's hot in it, so there is cold. There's sour, so there's sweet. There's high and then there's low. There is meeting, so there is parting, life and death, meeting and separation. I and you, without one there is no other, are two sides of the same thing, the same phenomenon, and they are inseparable. Inevitably, one replaces the other, day and night, life and death, joy and sorrow. Only in God there is no such duality. Even the angels have it in any part of creation, for it is divided into parts, into me and you, for example. And so there is both encounter and loss, but you are too focused on this moment. You do not see life as a whole, and if you saw and accepted it, you would not suffer. This identification makes you suffer, but life is broader than this moment. There have already been thousands of times when you have gained and lost something, agonized, and then calmed down and moved on. You don't know it yet, but it has happened to you many times. Let's look at your past lives and you will see it for yourself. The problem is not the world, it's you. You are imperfect and you are suffering because of it.
And Sapphire took Jan's hand. They were transported to the Akasha Chronicle and saw his former lives. Here, he is a warrior. In a besieged city, his family, wife, and children are killed. He survives with severe wounds, agonizes, and worries for a long time, but then calms down and starts another family. Here he is, a merchant. He and his bride are leading a camel caravan across the desert, but they are attacked by robbers. They take away everything, take his bride into slavery, and he loses her and all his fortune. He miraculously manages to save himself and escape. He wanders for a long time in the desert, looking for death. But he is picked up by kind people. But here and there he calms down. He becomes a merchant in one city. Gradually, he forgets everything, and there he finds a new love, starts a new life, and marries again. Here he is at the king's court as a jester. He falls in love with a maid of honor and gets kicked out of the palace. He wanted to die, but time passed. He calms down and becomes a hustler in a band of traveling musicians. He becomes a traveling actor himself, and again his affection subsides and he finds a new lady. And so, thousands of times, a child is worried about losing his favorite toy, about the cat eating his favorite parrot, and every time he blames the world, God, people, not seeing that the matter is in him, in his identification with everything he comes in contact with, in his dream, in his lack of understanding that everything is temporary, that everything has two sides. He realized that feelings cannot come without an object. They look for someone to turn on, but even if nothing happens in life, they get weak, turn off, and look for a new object. Only in rare cases do they maintain constancy, mostly in mothers and some women, that each person has a different strength and duration of feeling. And especially, it struck him that also in the spiritual path man does not have constancy in his feelings, that, having brought him to God, the feeling can weaken and switch to something else. He was particularly struck when he saw his confession before his death in one of his lives in which he had met Christ, but forsaken him.
And the Lord and I went with the Lord, and I saw the uncleanness. And I said to him, may I go into the uncleanness one more time, just one last time, just for 5 minutes, and we will go with you again. And the Lord departed from me, and I went into the unclean place. But when I came out of there, the Lord was gone. He was not with me, and 20 years have passed. I have lost everything I had, and now I am perishing. I have found this perdition because of my weakness, because I gave in to the devil of uncleanness. How could it be? Such strong feelings seemingly forever, and now they're over.
Everything is not eternal, dear. Life goes on. Accept it with gratitude and understanding all that the Lord gives you as lessons for the development of your soul. But in important things, we must rely on our decision, strengthening it so it is more durable, cultivating, understanding, and following it, rather than leaning like a child. I will, I won't, I want, I don't want. This is shaky ground.
The cartoon is based on the book Life After Life. Read Life After Life on the website amazon1.org/books. Receive more interesting practices, spiritual knowledge, and gifts on the websites of our partners. You will find details in the description.